Infinite loops are nothing new to card games. While Yu-Gi-Oh! Has multiple dozen semi-viable loops, and in some cases even first turn OTKs, Hearthstone requires a little more setup for those loops to happen. Today, we will take a look at 11 possible scenarios that theoretically could go on forever and result in infinite loops. To prevent most of those loops to go on forever and break the game, Blizzard implemented a cap that when reached just stops the effect of the loop. But nonetheless, there are certain card combinations that are truly infinite and have no cap whatsoever. My name is Solem, and we are going to take a look at all the possible loops you can create in Hearthstone. Starting with number 11, we make use of the Undertaker. He usually sees play to generate a lot of lasting value, but with the right Death Order minions he can create an infinite loop as well. Combined with Immortal Prelate, which shuffles a copy of itself into the deck when it dies, and Silver Vanguard, which summons an 8-cost minion, we get the setup for the loop. This, combined with Spirit Singer Umbra, already on the field, which allows a Death Order minion that gets summoned to trigger its Death Rattle, we can play the Undertaker and he will shuffle himself into the deck to then pull himself out of it due to Silver Vanguard's effect. This loop is kept at 5 and creates this lasting effect on the field for some reason. For spot number 10, we get the Violent Lord Godfrey. Those effects are straightforward. They 1 or 2 damage and repeat whenever a minion dies. So as long as there is a minion on the board, the effect will keep going, which is why it is so effective to play a card like Grim Patron when going for this combo. We will see 14 triggers in total until the effect stops, which is enough to clear almost everything. This can be used in quite a few OTK decks, but most notably in Mill Warlock with a Half Fiend on the enemy's side to discard their hand. Because the consistency of this combo is very high, it led to the nerf of Dreadsteed back in July 2017, as the original version of Dreadsteed plus the file would be a full clear for just 6 mana. This next loop requires some APM, which will impact the amount of times you can do it. If your deck does not contain any duplicates, at least the Enlightened will copy the cards in your hand. Having Floop, a Trick of the World Tree, and any spell that destroys Elise, Naturalize in this example, allows us to summon Elise, use Naturalize on it, and then play Trick of the World Tree to reset our mana back to 10 to create the loop. This is a fairly viable win condition, by the way, due to Naturalize drawing 2 cards for the opponent like a reverse Pot of Greed, and will put them into fatigue really quick. As long as you don't face anyone playing Skulking Geist, you should be able to use this 4-card combo to get a win here and there. Exodia Mage comes next on the list. While we can only include 2 copies of a card in our deck, there are many ways you can create another copy of a minion. Using cards like Duplicate or Molten Reflection allows us to have 4 Sorcerer's Apprentice on the field, which reduces the cost of our spells from 4 mana or less to 0 mana. Paired with Archmage Tony, we get a bunch of fireballs that we can throw at the opponent. Due to the power level of this loop, it is usually referred to as Exodia Mage, named after Exodia the Forbidden One from Yu-Gi-Oh! That instantly wins you the game when drawn. Realistically speaking, you can do this around 25 times depending on how fast you go. 25 is a number we will look at again for number 7. Number 7 is all about Brewmasters. Both Youthful and Ancient Brewmaster have the effect to return a minion from the field back to your hand. To create a loop with these 2 cards, all we need is to have 2 to 4 copies of Generous Mummy on the opponent's side of the field, while Generous Mummy being a card that reduces the cost of enemy minions by 1, in that case of our own minions because it belongs to the opponent. With that setup, we can target a Brewmaster with another one and go back and forth until the rope is at its end. Similar to number 7, this also depends on how fast you can go, but anywhere from 20 to 30 repetitions should be doable. For number 6, we get Echo as a mechanic. While we all know that Snip Snap Warlock is pretty broken and wild due to the interaction between Summoning Portal and Mech Warper, which reduces the cost of it to 0 mana, there are other ways you can go infinite as well. For example, with the help of 3 Generous Mummy on the enemy's side and 3 Animated Berserkers on our field, we can drop walnut after walnut until the time is over. No matter how fast you go, you will most likely only play around 20 to 30 copies as well before your turn is over. There was a program which allowed a player to play up to 80 a turn because it skips animations, but that resulted in players getting banned, so we won't consider that. Sonya Shadow Dancer is the next card we take a look at. Whenever a friendly minion dies, we will get a 1 mana 1/1 copy of it into our hand. This effect was very helpful if you wanted to complete the old quest, the Caverns Below, as it allowed you to play any charge minion, like a boar for example, and just charge into the enemy minions to then get a copy and repeat. And this is how you set up the loop. All you need is Sonya, play, as well as a Mech Warper which reduces the cost of all mechs by 1 mana, which makes cards like Scatterward cost 0 mana. Now you just have to rush into an enemy minion and repeat. Similar to the Echo loop, this is also only possible around 20 to 30 times, as animations do take some time to resolve. Starting at number 4, we significantly increase how often a loop can happen. It is time to take a look at Dr. Morrigan, which summons a random minion from your deck when it dies. If you have another copy of Dr. Morrigan in your deck, you're guaranteed to summon it when your card in play triggers its death rattle. The other card we use for this is Spirit-Singer Umbra, which has the effect that whenever you summon a death rattle minion, its effect goes off. That plus Dr. Morrigan will result in your minion getting summoned, just to then go back into your deck and come out yet again. I first tested this with Banker and Bran, but the animation stopped after just 15 times. That is why I thought, what would happen if you fill the entire deck with copies of Dr. Morrigan using Togwaggles Scheme, a card that shuffles X amount of copies of a card into your deck and upgrades each turn it is in your hand. After waiting 20 turns and using the card 3 times, we get 60 Dr. Morrigans in our deck, which is the maximum capacity your deck can possibly have. After 5 dozens of Fortunate Souls, the loop stops at 62, a number that reoccurs in the next loop, which brings us to number 3. This loop is quite complicated if you are unfamiliar with the cards, so let me explain. To set this up, you need to have a black card in play, a card that deals damage to a random enemy minion based on how much health you restore to your hero. To restore health, we first need to take damage, using a card like High Priest Dackle, which sets us down to 1 health and converts the rest of our health into armor. After this, we reduce Blackguard down to 2 attack and give him lifesteal with a Lightforged Blessing. Due to the lifesteal, Blackguard will now restore as much health to our hero as he deals damage. This by itself can clear an entire board of enemy minions, but it will stop as soon as we reach 30 health and are unable to restore anymore. So I had to find a minion that deals damage to me whenever it gets hit, and I remembered that one card from Blackrock Mountain, Axe Flinger. Whenever he takes damage, he throws an axe into our face that will deal 2 damage. This is the reason we reduce Blackguard's attack down to 2 in the first place. Now whenever Blackguard's effect goes off, he will deal 2 damage to an Axe Flinger and restore 2 health to our hero. The Axe Flinger will deal 2 damage to our hero again, and because we just restored health, the cycle begins again. For some reason this loop is also cut at 62 like the Dr. Morrigan one, seems like a hidden number for actions in a turn. For number 2, we have the last loop that has a cap, and all we need are 2 cards. Bouncing Blade deals 1 damage to a random enemy minion on the field and repeats the effect until a minion dies. With Commanding Shot in play, our minions cannot get below 1 health for the rest of the turn. Now you can play a Snapjaw Shellfighter next to any minion as it will absorb all the damage it takes while being invincible. Usually Bouncing Blade would stop when every minion is at 1 health and won't die because of Commanding Shot, but because of the minion next to Snapjaw remains at full health, the effect goes on and on. Just to mention it, you can also just play a minion with 80 plus health, but there was one guy on Reddit who asked for this exact setup and how it would work, so I thought we include it. As of now, this is the longest loop that has a cap, but as I mentioned, there are 2 truly infinite combos. Now we arrived at the truly infinite loops that have no cap and can go on forever. As of now, there are 2 different ways of setting these up, as both resolve around the invisible 90 seconds turn limit we have. For infinite loop number 1, we need Azalina Soul Thief, a card that replaces the cards in your hand with the ones in your opponent's hand. The important part about this is that any cost reductions applied to the cards your opponent had will stay after you play Azalina and won't reset, like a buff minion that gets returned from the field to your hand. The other cards are Nosdormo, the legendary dragon that reduces the time in your turn down to 15 seconds, as well as some cards to return or destroy these 2 minions. All these combo pieces need to be in your opponent's hand and reduced to 0 mana with enough Emperor ticks. Now whenever you play Azalina from your hand, you will end up with a way of playing Nosdormo and returning or destroying him, which resets the turn time back to 90 seconds. Another Azalina from your opponent's hand makes it so you can go infinite. This interaction of turn time and Nosdormo is in the game since it was released in the classic set and will probably stay, as there's no way this will ever happen in a ranked game. But this was only the first infinite loop. The other includes the time warp spell you get when finishing the mage quest Open the Way Gates. After playing 6 spells that did not start in your deck, you get a legendary spell that allows you to get an additional turn. This plus Azalina, and a way to remove her from the field, like Frostbolt in this example, is enough to go infinite. While your turn time is still capped at 90 seconds, you can have infinite time and infinite turns. All we need now is a 0 mana time warp, Azalina and any removal spell in the enemy's hand, and we can play our own Azalina to get these 3 cards. If you worry about taking fatigue damage because you still draw when taking your extra turn, you can play Violet Illusionist, for example, which makes it so you are immune during your own turn and don't take any fatigue damage. And that is it. Those are the loops you can create in Hearthstone. Let me know if there's anything I didn't mention, as well as if I should make videos like these more often in the comments down below. Creating these is a lot of fun, and looking at card games in different ways than just gameplay is something I always enjoyed doing. Thank you so much for watching, don't forget to leave a like, and be sure to stop by at my live streams on Twitch, at twitch.tv/Solem. If you want to see anything specific, or just want to chat, join the Discord server, links for everything in the description down below. Take care, and have a wonderful day.